getting ready to hit the road for a final time in the regular season against Clayton State. Obviously, 1 versus 2 at this point in the season, probably the matchup you guys want, a chance to prove straight up that you're the best team in the PVC. So what are you guys thinking about coming into this matchup?
Oh, it's an exciting game. They're playing great. I think they've won 9 or 10 in a row. They're up there, I think, top 4 or 5 in the region, along with the Braves, and so it'll be a great matchup.
For you guys in that first meeting here in Pembroke, it was kind of back and forth really until you guys kind of pulled away in the final 8 minutes or so of that game. Mm-hmm. What have you seen looking back at that first game when you look at Clayton State, and what are some of the problems that they present?
Well, they lead the league in scoring. They lead the league in free throw attempts, free throws made. Defensively, they're one of the top defensive teams in the league in most categories. Rebound, I mean, they do everything very well. They're balanced scoring. They shoot the three very well. They run. Very impressive team. So it's a challenge, but I think our guys are excited for that kind of challenge.
The first time around when you played them, Nigel and Akia combined to have a big game for you guys in the post. Is that somewhere against Clayton State that you feel like you guys can have an upper hand, is kind of taking a physical presence inside?
Well, I think we got 3 guys with, Akia, Nigel, and JB that can all score inside but also step out. So they're always going to be a focal point to try to get those guys touches, to play inside out. This will be no different.
With JB, we talk about all the time now, he's at 11 straight double-figure scoring games coming off the bench for you guys. How does he do as a bench player? Man, it's got to be a little bit frustrating for him to have the talent that he does and consistently come off the bench. But what is it about him that makes him such a great, really kind of role player for you guys all around?
He's embraced that role, and he's kind of been in that position now for a couple of years. So, he really plays starter minutes. The minutes between those guys are really balanced, and with him and Micah coming off the bench, those guys are both know they're going to play a lot, and have been huge contributors in about every facet. So those guys, along with Jamal, whose minutes are a little more limited, can give us a great rotation off the bench.
Tyrell Kirk, one of your freshman starters, he's kind of getting into a scoring groove. We're now seeing these spurts in games where he can almost just seemingly kind of take over. Are you seeing him kind of hit another level of growth right now towards the end of his freshman season?
Yeah, I think he's, the biggest growth, that I've seen defensively. He's come along very quickly. It's a big adjustment. In high school, sometimes you make a defensive mistake. The other guys aren't always good enough to make you pay. But here, when you miss an assignment, you don't get a contested shot. Everybody we play against is really good. So pleased with his defense. He's a very talented offensive player, can do a lot of different things, as you can see with the way he can score but also distribute the ball. So he's having fun and, really improving all the time.
Nigel, just a couple days ago, mentioned that you guys are going one game at a time right now, as you would expect. But last year, having the share of the regular season and winning the PVC postseason tournament, does that weigh on the guys' minds, you think, a little bit in terms of trying to want to wrap this up at the end of the season here?
I don't. Hopefully, they're not looking back too much. I think they can gain confidence and strength from things we've accomplished in the past, but also understanding this year's a whole new challenge and new opportunity. It's kind of neat that this is the first year that the Peach Belt has not had divisions. There'll be one true champion. I suppose you could have a tie too, but I think that's kind of cool too, to play a full round robin of Peach Belt games. It's been a bit of a grind, for everybody. A lot of games squeezed into a short period of time, but our guys have handled it pretty well, and like Nigel stressed the other day, just trying to take it day by day.
Coming out of a stretch of 3 games in 5 days, so probably good to have a couple just true practice days before taking on Clayton State. Let's talk about building off the last win for you guys and a second crack at Clayton State, a team that you guys played really close with the first time around.
First of all, I thought last night's game, I thought we did some good things in stretches. I thought it was kind of a sluggish first half. Just felt like the energy wasn't there. I didn't think we executed real good offensively. And I thought we came out at times with a much better energy in the second half and were able to create some turnovers with the 1-1-3 and made some shots. And that's a big thing. They were zoning us most of the game to make some perimeter shots. So we knocked down some threes and got some separation.
The first time you guys played Clayton State, you kind of said it in the pregame conference that you thought they were a better three-point shooting team than the statistics showed. They came in, knocked down 10 against you guys, including one to take a late lead. Is that going to be kind of point of emphasis now for you guys the second time around?
Well, no, I think their bread and butter still number one, their press. We've got to do a good job against their press. They create havoc. They create a lot of turnovers, so we've got to be solid with the basketball and then attack their press. We got some good shots against their press when we played them here. Now, we made a couple of turnovers late that cost us. So I think that's number one. Number two, I think, is keeping the ball in front of you. Defensively, because they're really quick and athletic and drive it, and keeping them off the offensive glass, and then contesting shots on certain people. I think Rackley, number 11, came out and made some threes. Bland had a real good game against us. Their guard, is a good player and can shoot threes. So I think those three we've got to pay some attention to and make sure we're doing a good job contesting shots. But Merriweather can hurt you inside, and they'll post their wings from time to time. So, a lot of matchup issues that we've got to worry about.
Where do you feel like the team's at right now defensively? The early half of PVC play, you guys kind of hit a stretch there where you're really in a rhythm defensively. Where do you feel like your defense is at this point?
I think we're better. I think we can continue to get better in terms of communication, in terms of rotations, those type of things. Understanding matchups and understanding we got to switch out hard on this person because they can make shots, or we switch softer because they're a driver. So I think understanding stuff, we're further along. We can get a lot better at that. But I do think we have progressed defensively, and hopefully we'll continue to improve.
You guys were able to get Casey Drayton back in this last home game. How much does that impact you guys just kind of have another person to rotate in down there and kind of get her back in the mix?
Just size and skill. I mean, Casey probably has got as good understanding of basketball as anybody we've got, and she's tall enough that she can see over people and do a good job passing and making decisions. Knocked down a shot last night, and she can do that. I think she had her best game against Clayton last time, so it's kind of good to get her back fairly healthy. She's not in great shape because she's been out for a while, but to get her back fairly healthy and have her back on the floor.
And for you guys now to be in this race in the final few games of the season to try to hang on to a spot to make sure you're in that conference tournament at the end of the year, how much does that weigh on the team's mind at this point when we're trying to keep that 8th spot?
We're just trying to be as good as we can be every game. And I've told them, it's hard to control the opponents. If Clayton makes shots, they make shots. What we've got to control is what we can control. Are we contesting shots? Are we doing a good job defensively? Are we taking care of the ball offensively? Are we getting good shots? Are we finishing plays? And so we much more worried about us. And I think, if you start looking at other teams to help you out, Francis Marion gets beaten in overtime with Young Harris. The tiebreaker situation right now, I think, is with Flagler and Columbus. There was a game difference. Georgia College had a big lead, and Columbus came back and won in overtime. So we can't rely on other people to help us out. We've got to take care of our own business.
All right, Coach, we're looking forward to that starting this weekend against Clayton State. Thanks for the time.
Thank you. Appreciate it.